Om Tavakatam Ritam Tapta Jivanam Kavipiritam Kalmashapam Shravanamangalam Shrimadatatam Bhuvinarnantiye Burida Janaha. The nectar of your words, the praise of poet seers, elixir to parched souls, delight to listening ears. Cleanser of all sins is great and glorious. They who spread it far and wide on earth are most generous. Om, peace, peace, peace. Good evening, friends. Today we will continue with reading from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. And if you have been following along, we are still on the steamboat, and Sri Ramakrishna is talking to the Brahmos and also to his devotees. If you have read the Gospel at various times, you'll have seen that when M is describing a situation, a scene, it has a romantic feel to it. So and that's how he starts off this next paragraph. We are on page 140. Gradually, the ebb tide set in. The steamboat was speeding toward Calcutta. It passed under the Howrah Bridge and came within sight of the botanical garden. The captain was asked to go a little farther down the river. The passengers were enchanted with the master's words, and most of them had no idea of time or how far they have come, or how far they had come. Kesha began to serve some puffed rice and grated coconut. The guests held these in the folds of their wearing cloths and presently started to eat. For those of us that have never experienced Indian life, I don't think I have ever seen any sari or dhoti with pockets or a purse. So typically when they want to hold on to keep something, they would tie it at the end of the cloth in a knot to form a little bundle, or they would use it as a way of holding any foodstuffs like street snacks and that kind of thing. And so just so you know, so here they are, they're eating with they're stored in the folds of their cloth. Everyone was joyful. The master noticed, however, that Keshab and Vijay rather shrank from each other, and he was anxious to reconcile them. Well, Keshab was the leader of the Brahmo Samaj. Vijay was one of the preachers of the Brahmo Samaj. There became a conflict of ideals between the two of them, and Vijay decided he will leave that Brahmo Samaj and start his own version of the Brahmo Samaj. And what was the conflict? The Brahmo Samaj stood for the remarriage of widows, and they wanted to stop the marriage of underaged girls. However, Keshab had 10 children, 5 girls and 5 boys. And he somehow, I guess an inquiry came from a prince of one of the states, Kuch Bihar, and he thought, well, it would be very prestigious to marry one of his daughters to this prince. But his daughter was only 14 years old. And so he went against the tenets of his own Brahmo Samaj, and this kind of infuriated Vijay. And he said, I'll have nothing to do with this Brahmo Samaj. I will start my own organization. So now Master is saying to Keshab, now they were both on the boat, not because of each other, but because of their common interest in Sri Ramakrishna and his teachings. So they were there for him, not for themselves. So Master to Keshav, look here, there is Vijay. Your quarrel seems like the fight between Shiva and Rama. Shiva was Rama's guru. Though they fought with each other, yet they soon came to terms. So although Vijay was a preacher of the Brahma Samaj, he was also essentially one of Keshav's students. So there was rivalry now between the two because they believed differently. So though they fought with each other, they soon came to terms. But the grimaces of the ghosts, the followers of Shiva, and the gibberish of the monkeys, the followers of Rama, would not come to an end. And there was loud laughter. So what he's saying here is that the two leaders, they could reconcile, but the followers of those individual leaders will still continue the fight because they might feel that they have been wronged. So here he's using the ghosts are going to be, and the monkeys will be continuously fighting with each other, just as followers of one group or the other will continue fighting with each other, even though the leaders themselves might have reconciled. So it's just using this as an analogy that you two can reconcile, and so he's trying to get them together. And then he says, such quarrels take place even among one's own kith and kin. Yeah, you have family, siblings can have quarrels, but they also resolve quarrels, or they get along, or they just get along with each other at some point. And so he's trying to give examples of, yeah, you guys work it out. No need to carry on this your disagreement between each other. The ideals might have been different, but as personalities, you two should try to get along. And then he says, didn't Rama fight with his own sons, Latha and Kusha? Well, you may not know who Latha and Kusha are, as far as the Westerners are concerned. I wish I had all these kinds of stories back when I was growing up, instead of fairy tales. But just to give you a brief outline, most of us know that Rama and Sita, husband and wife, at some point, this is after Ravana was defeated by Lord Rama, he had captured Sita, but the villagers, after Rama became king, the villagers of that city felt that Sita perhaps was impure because she may have been, well, maybe not loyal to Lord Rama while he was during her absence. So Rama, in order to felt that he should exile her. He did not want that stain to be on the kingdom, even though he himself felt that she was innocent. But from the king's point of view, he felt that that was his duty to exile her. She ended up staying with the sage Valmiki. But as she was being exiled and sent away, she was also pregnant. And during her exile, she gave birth to two sons, both twins, Kusha and Latha. They were raised by Valmiki. He was their guru, and he taught them a song, which was basically the Ramayana. But he did not reveal that the two boys were the sons of Rama. So they grew up, they learned the martial arts, and they studied music, they studied all the things that you would teach to young princes. And they also had a warrior-like spirit. And at some point when they were in their, as they were, I guess maybe in their teens, I'm not sure how old, still kids though, they captured one of Rama's white horses that he had sent out as part of a sacrifice. The decree was that whoever captures this horse has to fight the army that this horse belonged to, and that happened to be Lord Rama's army. Now the thing is that these two boys defeated the army, including capturing Hanuman. And the boys said, "We don't want to fight your. I guess his representatives. They want to talk to Rama directly." And at some point, Valmiki discloses that Rama is their father, and so they wanted to disclose they wanted to go talk to their father about all the injustices that he did to his mother. So, because of all, and that creates a lot of drama, and so yes, there are disagreements. Wars are caused between siblings. So, of course, they went and they sang the song, the Ramayana, in front of Lord Rama, and then he realized that those are his sons. So, and then he insists that Sita come back to the kingdom, but she was totally embarrassed by all of this. So again, you must have noticed how a mother and daughter living together and having the same spiritual end in view observe their religious fasts separately on Tuesdays, each on her own account, as if the welfare of the mother were different from the welfare of the daughter. Now, it's traditional that the mother of the family will usually fast one day a week, with the idea that during that day she is also praying for the welfare of the family. But if there's a disagreement between the daughter and the mother, each one is trying to resolve, I guess, their differences, so they both fast separately. This year you would have to speak to someone of Indian tradition to actually understand it completely. So I'm not going to try to interpret it any deeper than what I've just said. So then he says, but what benefits the one benefits the other. So really only one of them would have to do the fasting, but for some reason the daughter feels that she must do so also. And then he goes on to describe the Brahmo Samaj. In like manner, you have a religious society, and Vijay thinks he must have one too. And then there's laughter. Now remember, Swami Nikhilananda is saying this in front of all the people. This is not a private conversation. So he's basically spilling the beans and perhaps trying to embarrass them into reconciling. And then he says, there is no fun without Jatila and Kutila. And then there's loud laughter. Now, we may not know who Jatila and Kutila are either, but they are the mother-in-law and sister-in-law of Radhas. And their goal in life was to somehow keep Krishna away from Radha by creating all kinds of drama between them. They would call him names, they would chase him away when he would try to visit, and he would have to come in disguise, and all kinds of things. So those are some fun stories to read. And that's why they're all laughing loudly. And then he continues, Ramanuja upheld the doctrine of qualified non-dualism, but his guru was a pure non-dualist. They disagreed with each other and refuted each other's arguments. That always happens. Still, to the teacher, the disciple is his own. So qualified non-dualism is also known as Vashishta Advaita, and it propounds that there is a relationship between Brahman and the universe and the individual soul, the jiva, as opposed to Brahman in the pure non-dualistic sense is the only reality and disregards the universe and the individual soul. So now you've got the guru and the teacher arguing over these 2 points and trying to prove one over the other using different scriptures and in their arguments. But still, even though you may argue with, quote, your professor, still, if your argument is, if you can actually prove your point, and that's one of the things that amazes me about when Indian intellectuals or so have a real conversation, an argument, that if you can prove without a doubt that your point is valid, then it's accepted. And so your guru or your teacher or your professor will actually respect you if you, as a student, can bring up valid arguments to prove a point, even if it goes against their beliefs or their understanding, but yet it might be valid enough that they will consider that there's some validity in your answer. And all rejoiced in the master's company and his words. Now the master, continuing, speaks to Keshab. You don't look into people's natures before you make them your disciples, so they break away from you. All men look alike, to be sure, but they have different natures. Some have an excess of sattva, others an excess of rajas, and still others an excess of tamas. So for sattva, you might think of someone with a contemplative attitude or nature, meditative attitude. While someone with an excess of rajas will always be active. He wants to do things. He wants to have meetings. He wants to preach. He wants to do all kinds of these things to arouse a congregation. And then some will have an excess of tamas. Well, they're more laid back, say a few words. They're not too, they may not be too keen on, they more want to speak about what their thoughts are, but not too keen on spreading of the group growing, that kind of thing. Quote, laziness. They have a more lazy attitude. So then he continues, you must have noticed that the cakes known as puli all look alike, but their contents are very different. Some contain condensed milk, some coconut kernel, and others mere boiled kalai pulse. All laugh. Yeah, it's no different than looking at stuffed donuts, and you can't tell, they all have different fillings. They look the same on the outside. So, but do you know my attitude? As for myself, I eat, drink, and live happily. The rest the Divine Mother knows. Indeed, there are 3 words that prick my flesh: Guru, Master, and Father. So why does he feel they prick his flesh? Well, here's a person who has realized the highest goal. He does not feel that he himself is the body, but all these terms are trying to force him to identify himself as the body and the mind by him being referred to as Guru, Master, or Father. When he speaks of himself, he always said this. Whatever this may be, the conglomerate of whatever it is, he would not say I or me, or he would say this. So I guess when we are referred to him, we should say that. I'm not sure. But he did not like to be referred to as guru, master, or father, or anything that would remind him that, or try to bring his mind down to help to make it, force him to identify as the body mind, because he felt that there's only one guru, and that is Satchitananda. He alone is the teacher. My attitude toward God is that of a child toward its mother. One could get human gurus by the millions. All want to be teachers, but who cares to be a disciple? It is extremely difficult to teach others. A man can teach only if God himself reveals himself to him and gives the command. There's a story about a person who becomes attracted to a guru and then begs to become his disciple. And the guru asks him, well, you have to do certain things if you're going to be my disciple. And the disciple asks, well, what are those? Well, you'll have to sweep and do things, and get some firewood and cook some meals. And then the teacher or the student asks, well, what does the teacher do? What does the guru do? Oh, he just talks and gives discourses. And the disciple says, well, I want to be the teacher. He doesn't want to do the physical work. So, but it's extremely difficult to teach others. A man can teach only if God reveals himself to him and gives the command. Narada, Shukadeva, and sages like them had such a command from God. And Shankara had it too. Unless you have a command from God, who will listen to your words? If a person goes to a doctor and is told that, well, looks like you may have cancer, we're going to run some tests. And then he comes home and he says to his wife and his children, well, it looks like I might have cancer. They're doing some tests. And the wife will say, oh, it may be a cancer that's not that serious, you'll be fine. But until the doctor actually says that you will be fine, the same words coming from your wife or your children or relatives will not have the same effect as those words from your doctor. So your doctor is thus qualified to speak those words, and those same words will have more impact on your mind. Same as when one gives religious discourses, if they have the power or the authority to speak on those things, then those words will have more impact. Same as for any discipline. If you want to talk to, if you have a problem with a car, are you going to be talking to your friends or search the internet? You'll get a better answer from taking your car to a real mechanic than trying to self-diagnose it. So because they are qualified, they have the background, they have the teachings, they have the studies, they have all the experience. So your doctor has the experience to determine that this form of cancer is curable and you will be fine, as opposed to those same words being told by your loved ones. So the same is here. However, Swami Ramakrishna is going to expand on that. He says, don't you know how easily the people of Calcutta get excited? The milk in the kettle puffs up and boils as long as the fire burns underneath. If you ever try to boil milk and you don't pay attention, it'll overflow. Well, that's just like keeping the fire going. You start rumors and everybody gets all excited, the rumors change, the whole story changes, and before you know it, nobody knows what the facts are anymore, nobody knows the truth, And so whatever you're trying to say has been muddled up, and nobody has any faith any longer in what anybody is saying. So the milk of the kettle puffs up and boils as long as the fire burns underneath. But if you take away the fuel, all becomes quiet. So you just stop speaking, elaborating, and then things will quiet down and people might start to actually listen. The people of Calcutta love sensations. Yeah, anytime there's some spicy topic, everybody wants to hear more. So, the story will just get embellished more and more and make the story more exciting. Like any tall tale or any fish story. Yes, I caught a fish. In reality, it's one this big. When you start telling the story, the fish gets bigger and bigger. So the people of Calcutta love sensations. You may see them digging a well in a certain place. They say they want water, but if they strike a stone, they give up that place. They begin at another place. And there, perchance, they find sand. They give up that second place, too. Next, they begin at a third, and so it goes. So, no, but they want water, they want something they need, but they won't go through all the trouble to get it. They'll be picking at it here and there, hoping that it'll be easier. Whatever course they choose will be easier. So rather than do deep study, they just say you don't want to read the whole gospel because it takes us so long. You'll go get the abridged version, or you'll go on to read a synopsis version because that's all you have time for, or you go watch the 2-hour movie. But still, you won't get the depth of what the gospel has to offer. But then again, these are just the words. If you don't think about the words, when you realize how deep these words are, you'll realize, well, you can write vast scriptures on these words. So if you don't want to go through the depth, well, you realize you actually have to do a lot of work to really understand something. And then he says, but it won't do if a man only imagines that he has God's command. God does reveal himself to man and speak. Only then may one receive his command. How forceful are the words of such a teacher. They can move mountains. But mere lectures, people will listen to them for a few days and then forget them. They will never act upon mere words. If a doctor tells you that you have cancer, you will act. You will change your diet, you'll exercise, you'll do all kinds of things. Even though you may not have had the inclination to do those things earlier, when you get such news, you are going to act because you realize what you're going to lose if you don't. So those same few words have forced you to action. That's the power of those words, as opposed to someone who has just casually said those words but has no experience behind them. So, and if you also listen to religious discourses from those that don't have the authority to speak, you may not listen to those either. The only reason I'm up here is because I'm told to speak. I don't feel qualified to do so, but here I am. But really the words listened to are Swami Krishna's words, because he has the authority to speak. And M has graciously made these words available to us. So I will conclude on that thought for today. And just so you know, this Friday, Swami Satyamananda will continue with Bhavanath, Part 2. And I don't remember what's coming. I guess this Sunday we'll be speaking about Easter. So you're all welcome to come if you can. Otherwise, we'll be online. So thank you very much for attending this evening. I'll conclude with a chant. Om Niranjanam Nityam Anantarupam Bhaktanukamparita Vigraham Vai Ishavataram Paramesamnityam Tvam Ramakrishnam Shirasa Namamaha. We salute that Ramakrishna who is without blemish, eternal and infinite in forms, who has assumed human form out of compassion for the devotees, who is God incarnate, the Supreme Lord, and who is most worshipful. Om, peace, peace, peace to all beings.